Okay, our second slide here, our second video here is going to be focused on why I live at the PO, and a little bit shorter. It's an interesting story because it's kind of like a dramatic monologue. Remember we talked about that in class the other day, a dramatic monologue, although that was in poetry form. This is in prose. It really is just one character speaking to us. Strictly speaking, it's not a dramatic monologue in the same sense as a work of poetry that way, but we just hear one lengthy narrative from someone. One of the questions that nobody answers frequently with this particular short story is, who are we? Right? She's narrating this whole episode, just goes on and on for several pages about this thing, why she lives at the PO, right? Evidently, we're somebody she's talking to. And that person is someone she's kind of unloading on. After a while, you're kind of enjoying the story of the colorful characters in her life, but also sort of, hey, wow, she can really talk a streak here. And obviously, the name of the short story is Why I Live at the PO. It must be the nature of our conversation. Whoever we are, we must have come in to the PO maybe and said, why are you living here? What happened? What's going on? Right? And so she kicks it off, and boy, she then goes on a rant about what's going on in her life that led up to this. And we get all these wonderful characters that she relates. One of the beautiful things, if the Petrified Man gives us sort of a slice of Southern working class life in small town Mississippi, and the beauty salon and all that kind of thing. This gives us a real opportunity to look at some eccentric Southern families. Everybody has eccentric family members. Everybody has like a crazy uncle, in this case, who wears kimonos, and that one domineering person. In this case, it's Papa Daddy, who's like big, burly, and throws his weight around and yells at people, and he's grumpy and all this kind of thing. So all these characters have like a very special kind of personality to them. Here's the problem, though. Okay, you have to read between the lines with this short story. In a nutshell, basically, Stella Rondo, the sister of Sister, comes home with a child after running off and supposedly marrying Mr. Whitaker. Okay, and there's a whole backstory to that, of course, and you've read that and everything. The question is, interesting. Where did this baby come from? And how come they had to run off? And what's up with Stella Rondo? Now, Stella Rondo says, no, it was adopted. We adopted Shirley T. And, Sister says, yeah, she looks an awful lot like Mr. Whitaker. The implication is that they ran off to get married because they, quote, had to, end quote, okay, or some such thing. We don't know the full story, but it's something different from what she's relating there. And Stella Rondo is saying, nope, this is an adopted child. I wasn't pregnant when I left. No. And Mama is basically taking the side of everything. Now, of Stella Rondo and such, and they set her up according to Sister. Okay, Sister is our narrator. According to Sister, they keep setting her up and putting words in her mouth or twisting her words, and that's how she gets in trouble with Papa Daddy in the whole beard episode. I didn't say that. That's not how I said it. That's not what I said, etc. And that's how she gets in trouble, with other people as well. In the story that Uncle Rondo, she said something about laughing at him in his kimono or whatever, and how he gets drunk on the 4th of July and everything. Oh, I didn't say it that way. I didn't mean it that way, etc. She's twisting my words. Here's the issue. Here's the problem with this particular narrative perspective. And we're given this problem on purpose for fun, right? Do we believe Sister? Should we believe Sister? Because we only get one side of the story here, right? So we've wandered, okay, imagine for a moment, we've wandered into this tiny little small town post office, and Sister got her job there because Papa Daddy got it secured for her and everything with the U.S. Congress or whoever it is, I don't know. And so it's a job, and she'll get, and we kicked off the conversation by saying, how come you're living at the PO? Here's why I live at the PO. Boom, 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 right? We get the whole shebang. But we only get the one side. We only get her point of view. And the question is, can we trust it? Should we trust it? You ever hear somebody tell you something about, an argument they had or something, and you think, surely there's a second side to this, because man, this is really, she's, either this woman is really, really right about everything, or there's another set of facts here. And so one of the things that I want to invite you to do, and it's just there's no more point to the story other than to sit back, in my opinion, to sit back and enjoy hearing the voice of sister tell us everything from her perspective. And what comes out in that is all the weird, quirky things about her family and all the really odd things. There are things that she says and does here, however, that if you're very careful and very observant, they're not just funny, but they make you scratch your head and say, I wonder if that's the way it really happened, or that just doesn't seem like that's the whole thing there, or even some of the things she says aren't terribly flattering about her and her own behavior, right? So it's not necessarily exactly an unreliable narrator, not like Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper, right? I chose this one because the two can be kind of compared in a way, because we have narrators that we're not sure we can completely trust. In one case, you shouldn't, right? Yellow Wallpaper, she has really gone off the deep end. This one's not a case of somebody, I don't think, who's unhinged or not all there. But we all have our perspectives, and we all have very strong feelings about what happened to us and the way it happened, right? And so what I want to do, we're not going to have the quiz, as I said. Instead, I've set up 2 discussion threads. Now, I haven't put what the topics of the threads are, because I want you to listen to the lecture videos all the way through. But here's how you're going to do it. Thread number 1 is going to be dedicated to responding to the petrified man. And what I want you to do in that thread, if you contribute to that thread, it's an either or, one thread or the other. You don't have to do both. Either thread 1 on the petrified man, which is what I want you to do is I want you to focus on dialogue or setting details that one might not notice at first glance. Some things that you say, oh, I noticed this, that a character said this, or a character spoke this word or used this term, or said something that maybe was a little bit controversial or humorous or something, or maybe something related to the setting that at first glance you might not notice, but if you look carefully, you say, oh, I know why she put that in there. Or, oh, I see what that reveals. Okay? So there are all these wonderful, what I like to call little hidden gems, facts or details in there that I didn't highlight. But I want you, if you do that thread, to choose one and tell me what it is and tell everybody what you think it's in there for. Okay? Why would she put that in there? Why would she put that little detail in there? Why would she have the character say that one little phrase or that one little turn of, why would she have find me a detail that shows how Welty is a very careful artist and crafts her piece with a lot of intentionality. Show me some hidden gems. Now, you can do that thread or you can do the second thread. And the second thread is on why I live at the PO. And if you do that thread, here's the topic I want you to discuss. I want you to discuss what are the things, and just choose one, maybe 2. What are the things that indicate to you that sister might not be giving us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, or even a trustworthy version of the truth, right? We all have our biases. Maybe she's not telling the truth on purpose, that is otherwise known as lying. Maybe she's just telling it the way she remembers it and it's not quite that accurate. Where are some holes or cracks in her account of things that make you say, I don't know if it happened that way, or I don't think you're telling the whole story here, or, well, I'm sure that's what it seemed like to you, but a rational person would look at it and say something different, okay? Just a detail. Just one, okay, or 2 if you want to, that you can pull out of there and say, yeah, that one made me wonder whether the narrator was really telling the whole truth here, or was telling the story in an objective fashion. She's certainly not objective at all, okay? So those are our 2 discussion threads. I'd like for you to complete the discussion, if you can, before Tuesday's class, all right? So you've got plenty of time to do that. There's no quiz, just to contribute to the discussion, all right? We'll pick it up a little bit more. Remember, we got Flannery O'Connor as well next week.